The morning started peacefully on my farm. I was repairing an old fence near the west field when I noticed several luxury SUVs driving across my land. At first, I assumed they were lost, but then I saw workers unloading wedding decorations directly onto my property. Within an hour, white chairs covered the middle of my field. Flower arches, music equipment, catering tables, everything. Nobody had asked for permission. Nobody had even contacted me. I walked over calmly to figure out what was happening. That's when I met the woman organizing everything. She introduced herself like she owned the place. Confident, loud, and completely disrespectful. I explained that the field was private property. She rolled her eyes and claimed the wedding had already been booked months ago. Apparently, she assumed the land belonged to the HOA nearby. Unfortunately for her, it didn't. I showed her the farm boundary markers myself. The entire wedding setup sat directly inside my property line. But instead of apologizing, she became angry. She demanded I work with the community. That sentence alone almost made me laugh because the same HOA had complained about my tractor for years. Now suddenly they wanted cooperation, and they expected it while trespassing on my farm. I warned her politely that farming operations will continue as scheduled. She ignored me completely. Workers kept setting up tables while guests started arriving. Clearly, nobody believed I was serious. So I called the county office first. I wanted everything documented before things escalated. The officer confirmed exactly what I already knew. The wedding was sitting on private agricultural land. Not long after that, local police arrived. The HOA woman immediately started acting like the victim. She claimed I was trying to ruin a community celebration. The officer simply asked for property documents. I handed over the farm paperwork immediately. The officers checked the maps carefully. Then they informed the wedding organization, Nisers, that they were trespassing. That should have ended everything right there. But the HOA woman refused to leave. She insisted the ceremony would continue no matter what. Guests kept arriving in expensive cars. Music started playing across my crops. That's when I remembered something important. Every Friday afternoon, I fertilized the field. And according to my schedule, that day happened to be Friday. Perfect timing. I walked back toward my equipment shed slowly. The wedding guests watched me curiously from a distance. Most probably assumed I had given up. I definitely had not. Inside the barn sat my large fertilizer sprayer tank, 2,000 gallons ready for field treatment. Completely normal farm operations. Completely legal on my own land. I climbed into the tractor and started the engine. The loud motor immediately grabbed everyone's attention. Several guests stopped talking and stared nervously. The HOA woman suddenly looked concerned. I drove slowly toward the edge of the field. The wedding music awkwardly continued playing in the background. Flower decorations moved gently in the wind. And then I activated the sprayer. A massive wave of fertilizer sprayed across the field instantly. The smell spread everywhere within seconds. Guests covered their noses and started running away from the chairs. The wedding planner looked completely horrified. The HOA woman screamed louder than the tractor engine. She demanded I stop immediately. I calmly reminded her this was active farmland, and scheduled farm work doesn't stop for trespassers. Within minutes, the ceremony area became chaos. Guests rushed toward their cars while workers grabbed decorations desperately. Even the police officers struggled not to laugh. The entire wedding completely collapsed. The funniest part was that I never broke a single law. Farmers fertilize fields all the time, and the county officer had already confirmed my rights earlier. The HOA simply underestimated who owned the land. Eventually, the guests cleared out completely. Workers packed tables into trucks as fast as possible. The expensive flower arch stood crooked in the muddy grass, and the HOA woman looked absolutely defeated. She tried threatening legal action one last time, but the officers reminded her again about trespassing laws. That conversation ended very quickly after that. There wasn't much else she could say. By sunset, the entire field was empty again. The only things left behind were tire tracks and damaged decorations. Meanwhile, my crop still needed proper fertilizer treatment. So, technically, I finished my work successfully. Over the next few days, the story spread everywhere. People in town couldn't stop talking about the farm wedding disaster. Some thought it was hilarious. Others said the HOA deserved it completely. Honestly, I never wanted drama. I simply wanted respect for private property. If someone had asked permission properly, things might have gone differently, but entitlement usually creates its own problems. Now, every time HOA members drive past my farm, they remember exactly what happened in that field. And surprisingly, nobody trespasses anymore. Like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from.